Welcome back to Elite Math Services, where we teach you math in under 5 minutes. In today's lesson, we're going to be learning how to subtract across multiple zeros. So we're going to start off with 3,000 minus 1,773. Now, as usual, we start in the ones place, and here we cannot subtract 3 from 0. So we borrow from our neighbor, which is also a 0. There's nothing to borrow there, so we're going to go to the next place value, which is also a 0. There's nothing to borrow there, so we have to keep going. We're going to borrow from this 3. So once we borrow from this 3 now becomes a 2. So the one that we took away from the 3 would usually make this 0 a 10, but because we have other place values that we must give to, it cannot become a 10, it must become a 9, because we have to give 1 over. So this 0 also cannot become a 10 because we have to give the last 0 something. So that becomes a 9. And then our last 0 in the ones place is the only 0 that becomes a 10. And now we can subtract. So 10 minus 3 gives us 7. 9 minus 7 gives us 2. 9 minus 7 again gives us 2. And 2 minus 1 gives us 1. For a final answer of 1,227. Now we're going to start with a different problem. This is going to be a bigger number. 9,050 minus 3,461. All right, so remember we start off in the ones place. We cannot take 1 from 0, so we must borrow from our neighbor, which is 5. We're going to take 1 away from that 5, which now becomes a 4. And the 0 now becomes a 10. We can go ahead and subtract now. 10 minus 1 gives us 9. We cannot subtract 6 from 4, so we must borrow. The neighbor we have next to the 5, or next to the 4, is a 0, so there's nothing to borrow there. We must go to the 9. We're going to take 1 from 9, which now becomes an 8. Remember, the 0 next to it cannot become a 10 because we must give something to this 4. So the 0 is going to become a 9, and we're going to give that 1 over to the 4, which makes it a 14. Now we can go ahead and subtract. So we're going to go ahead and take 6 away from 14, which gives us 8. Then we're going to go ahead and take 4 away from 9, which gives us 5. And 3 away from 8, which gives us 5. For a final answer of 5,589.